Boys and girls, welcome to another wonderful episode of the Leadership Den podcast. Here with me.
Lions Den Leadership.
Oh, it's Lions Den. Okay, he's the lion himself. Steve, how are you?
I'm good, Alex. How you doing, my man?
I'm good. I'm just a pup trying to learn, my friend. Just a pup. So what I'm going to do today for the benefit of everyone here, as well as my own. And again, the purpose of this podcast is for Steve and I. We're founders and CEOs of our respective businesses. And we face challenges every day, just like you do if you own the business and you're tuned into this podcast. And so what him and I are trying to do is, a couple of different methods to inspire ourselves and educate ourselves and just basically have support, right? Founder support, so to speak. It's really not something you can do when you are a leader of a company. Complaining downwards, this is what I learned in Radio Shack, Steve. When I was the store manager at Radio Shack, this was one of the, a key sort of a company policies. So not policies, but something that leadership talked about a lot is like complaining downward is the worst thing you can do. So
yeah, very true.
Just you and I are going to complain to each other, expose our problems and try to help each other solve them, as well as bring guests to dissect and help them build their businesses. And today we're going to take a little bit of a different approach. I specifically am trying to get a grip on the growth path of the business. And for me, I find that I'm running, Steve, 3 months behind of what our challenge is today. And I don't know if you've been to that position or not. I want to interview you about this, but I find that I see trends on P&L, my unit economics. I have all this documentation that I prep on a monthly basis. And only after about 3 months, I begin to see, customer acquisition cost is creeping up. Or, we're spending more in sales than we should. The profitability is nowhere near where I hoped it. The top line sales is fine, but renewals are not. So, you know what I mean? There's just so many aspects to running a business that I feel like I'm running blind and 3 months behind. And what you and I talked about is the EOS, Entrepreneur Operating System, that you've implemented in your company. And you've been talking a lot about this. And I really wanted to spend some time. And for those of you who are in a position to scale their businesses, I think this will be foundational to help you get an idea of what that looks like, what the success looks like by implementing EOS system, and also how to do it. And then you pick up the book and go from there. So Steve, thank you very much for agreeing to donate your time on this. What's the first thing? Tell me, I really kind of want to structure it pre, during, and post. So pre is like pre-EOS. What challenges your business faced? Then how the implementation process worked. Did you lose team members? Did you lose trust? Was it so difficult? And then now that you have it running, what are some of the things that you're able to control within your business?
Okay. There's a lot in here.
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead and do your intro.
Let me just start from the beginning. You said something in the beginning that I think is important, that I think a lot of us get into our business and create a business because we are operators, and we feel that we can operate better than the person we're working for at some level. And we say, you know what, that guy's a moron. I can do it better. So I'm going to start my own company, and it's going to be XYZ, not ZYX company. And we're going to do the same thing, but it's with my own personal flair, and I'm going to do it. So what happens is we go from operator we go from employee to operator, and then we've got to go to, just like the cash flow quadrant from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all that. You got to go to business owner. And I think the first thing that we all have to realize, that I've had to realize, is you have to learn a new set of skills when you become a business owner. So the skills that make you a good, whatever it is, operator that you do, that does not mean that you are going to be a good business owner, because a business owner is a leader. A manager manages. So the first thing people have to realize is a leader has people following them. A manager makes them follow. So people don't follow a manager because they want to. They follow a manager because their jobs depend on it. And a lot of people, I think, have the initial challenge of saying, well, I'm the owner of the company, so you have to follow me. And while they may come in and punch the clock, that doesn't mean that they're following you as a leader. So you mentioned one thing earlier where you said you push it down. So, you know that I'm very heavily coached by a business coach, have been since day one, and I'm a firm believer in being coached. And one of the things we've learned from our coach is it's called above the point, below the point. And above the point, below the point is ownership, accountability, and responsibility. Below the point is blame, excuse, and denial. So it's OAR, above, below, it's BAD. So for example, if let's say one of your employee comes in one day and they're late for work and you say, hey, we started 8 o'clock, it's 8:15. And they say, oh, sorry, my bad, traffic got me, I wasn't, I'm sorry. That's blaming, right? That's excuses, right? Instead of saying, you know what, I messed up, I should have left 20 minutes earlier, it's on me, I own that. So the first thing we want to remember is leadership starts and the fish stinks from the head down, we'll say. Meaning if you are not holding yourself accountable and you're not taking ownership and you're not responsible when things go right as well as when they go wrong, it's gonna die right there. It's gonna die on the vine because they're gonna go, well, you don't do it. Why should I? You don't show up on time. You're not prompt for meetings. You go over in meetings, so you don't care about my time. So really, why should I care about yours? So a lot of this starts with the foundation of you understanding that when you become an owner and you are running a business, there is a certain level of responsibilities that you have at this point, and you have to change who you are. So one of the things that I've learned that I live by is there's a formula, and it's called B times do equals have. And you may have seen me, Alex, when I did it at the PM Grow. And a lot of people will ask us, they'll say, Steve, you went from being an airline pilot to all of a sudden, buying rental properties and being horrible at that, to understanding how to create a business. And now you've got, all these properties and you're growing in multiple cities and you're looking at licensing and you're doing all this stuff. How do you do that? And everyone asks me, I will do what I have to do to have what you have. So it's the do equals have part. The problem is I think what we all have to realize is owners and entrepreneurs don't fail because we work hard. I think we will all work 25 hours a day if that's possible, right? We will work our asses off to get a result. We fail because we don't change the B part. It's B times do equals have. Everybody misses that front part of they having to become someone different. You have to change your mindset to be the leader, to be the owner. Owners eat last, right? Leaders eat last, right? All that acronym, all that stuff you hear. But there's a lot of truth to that. And you being an owner, just saying, I'm an owner and you have to follow me, they don't. And what happens is that starts with the leadership with or lack thereof and not becoming a new person of that leader. It cascades from there. So it's almost like you're starting, all of this is building the foundation of the company that you want to have. It's like people will say like, man, you guys have great employees. Like Steve, people that come to our office and they're like, man, you guys have great culture and you got great employees. How do you guys find so many employees? Let's be real. We don't have an employee ferry that drops these people into our office and says, you're going to get all these great employees. Great employees are made and bred, right? You create good employees by having a great leadership and having great training and having great vision and culture. It's not one thing, it's a lot of things that we do. And it's the lot of things that we do that create the great culture, which create the great employees. When they're referring friends and family and they come and work for us, that tells us we have a good culture. If we just said, hey, we're the owners, you need to go get a cousin and tell your cousin to come work for us, they're going to be like, go pound sand. I don't need to do that. So I think kind of a long way around what you said, I think the biggest challenge owners have is they don't become leaders themselves. They become managers and they put leader over that title and say, I am now a leader. But the reality is they're not being leaders, they're being managers, and they're bullying people and pushing people to do what they want. And people are not following them because they want to, they're following them because they're told to.
Fear factor.
So I think that's the beginning of this.
So I think that's a really great introduction to where we're gonna go next. But I have a couple of questions. I want to unpack some things here. How does one go through that transition? And especially, I'm speaking on behalf of companies who maybe have done, let's say I've been a property management business owner for the last 7 years, Steve. I've grown organically. I have some referrals. I do some marketing. But now I want to take it to the next level. Do I show up as a different person tomorrow? How do I, like, as a leader, as a manager in the past who's used to micromanaging? Let's say I have a small team. I have 6 people. One of them is my wife. I know them all. They operate well. Everybody knows what they're doing. I don't want to rock the ship. But I see that my business is being eaten up by a lot of really high-flying competitors now. So I have to really start moving. It's not like I want to. I have to survive. And so now how do I turn that, good old myself, tell you what to do, into this new leadership with the existing team? Yeah,
that's a great question. And let me just preface all this that, my business partner, Pete, and Pete has been instrumental in helping create this structure and this infrastructure, which allows me to do these beauty photo album shots like I get to do with you at these events, because Pete is running the operation, and he, just give credit where credit's due. But going back to what you said, here's the first thing. What my first question is what is the vision of the company? So the vision is what inspires people to come to work. So let's just start with that. Now, you get the people you deserve. And what I mean by that is, if you don't have a compelling reason why people should come and work for you, guess what you're going to get? You're going to get crappy people who don't care about your brand and don't care where your company's going, because you're not inspiring them to come work for you. Because a leader, cheerleader, you're cheering them on. A leader is the person that encourages them. So if you don't have a vision to say, hey, this is where we are, that's where we're going, that's the goal. We're all going to Disneyland together, and we're going to do this together, and it's going to be this, and this is what you're going to do. That inspires people to want to come work for you. So the first thing I think you need to do is you need to create the vision of where this whole thing is going. And as the leader, you are the one who's standing at the front of the ship, directing people where it's going to go, going down the path. So I think first and foremost, if somebody wants to change, it's like somebody saying, hey, I jog every day, so tomorrow I'm going to run the 400-meter hurdle. Well, you got to train for that, right? And you got to have a goal. Your goal is the 400-meter to get to the end of the 400 meters. That's the goal, right? You can't just jog and all of a sudden go, you know what? I'm going to go do this tomorrow without any training. The odds of you winning and even getting through are nil to none, right? So the first thing is you got to have a vision, and then you got to train for it. And what I mean by training for it is that's when you, as a leader, need to step back, step out of the business as an operator. If it's an hour a day, 4 hours a day, 10 hours a day, whatever you can afford to step out. And look, being the owner and operator of a company is hard freaking work. Let's just face it, right? There's no rosy days. You told me, like, you get to spend the weekends, with your kids, and you try to disconnect, and that's great. But I'm sure it hasn't always been like that, right? At some point when you first started, you didn't have that luxury like myself, right? I have the ability to disconnect because we've grown it like a business. But let's put it where it is. It's a very thankless, hard fucking job being the owner-operator of a small company. It's thankless. People shit on you. A lot of things happen. You get ripped off. You get told you're doing things wrong. It's not a fun time a lot of times because you don't have the vision of where you want to go. If you know where you're going, nobody can derail where you're going. So the next thing in the training process is you have to create roles, and you've got to create the organization chart of the company of what it looks like when you're going to sell it. Now, let me just before people say, I'm never going to sell my company, it's a lifelong I don't care. The reality is you have to have a saleable asset, because let me ask you this. Do you know what the definition of a business is, Alex?
Myself? Well, it's I think providing products and services to satisfy demand at profit. That's probably what it is, in my opinion. That's economic definition. What is yours?
Smart man. Mine is what I was taught is it's a commercial profitable enterprise that runs without me. So if that enterprise cannot run without you, you don't have a business, you have a job. So if you cannot walk away from your company for 3 weeks let's say it's a weekend, and then let's say at some point, Alex, you're able to walk away for a week, and at some point you're able to walk away for a month, and you can come back and your business be stronger and bigger than when you left it, you have a business. If you cannot, you have a business, but it's got some limitations, right?
I like that definition. That really really puts a clear mark on sort of the target. It really clarifies this. I have to tell you personally, I have zero interest walking away. I'm loving this. I'm working in it. You're the same way. Yeah, I might start some other business that is CBU, which is complementary business unit to what I'm doing, and take advantage of things we do and economies of scale. But I have zero interest walking away. But you're right. It doesn't depend on what I want. What it is this is the target.
Right. And people tell me, here's the biggest challenge, Alex. A lot of people will self-sabotage their business and go back in because they feel like, holy shit, this thing's working without me. They can't do it as good as me. I better go in and fuck things up a little bit to make them realize that I need to be more involved. And look, we all do it. We want to feel needed, but you have to have the vision. The vision is I want a saleable asset by 2027, right? Let's say that's the vision of our company, right? And we have a number attached to that. And we have a revenue number, which we know the goal. So everyone that comes to work for us, we say, look, this is where we're going. This is going to be exciting. It's going to be a wild ride. It is going to be, there's going to be tense times. There's going to be celebrations. There's going to be lows. And it is going to be a freaking wild, exciting trip. Are you in or out? And most people go, you know what? I'm in. Punch my ticket. I want on board this thing. So we're selling the vision of what we're doing. Now, we need to say, okay, what is your role?
One second, Steve. I'm just going to say one thing is life is too short to run and work in mediocre businesses. Please
I agree.
Continue. I just wanted to insert that in because that is my mindset. Like we only have one. Remember you told me like you only have so many Wednesdays left, right? That really stuck with me back at PM Grow a couple of years ago. And this is sort of my motivation for everything I do. I'm going to wake up this morning, take a cold shower, and I'm going to own the day because that's the one I'm going to have today, and today can make the difference. It sounds maybe to people who don't practice this every day, it may sound tacky or whatever. Or this whole self-help and leadership thing. I came to it gradually, Steve. Like I used to laugh at people who get coached. I'm like, what? You need a coach? Ha ha ha! You don't know how to run your business. You must be stupid.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of a lot of people think that, but when it's funny because people tell me they're like, man, you guys have a great business. Like, why are you wasting money on a coach? And I'm like, that's funny because Michael Jordan had a coach the whole time that he was winning NBA championships. Was he a fool? Or Tiger Woods everybody has a coach. When you really think about it, people have the wrong interpretation of what a coach is. A coach brings the best out of you, whether it's monetarily, whether it's personally, whether it's emotionally. The most successful people in the world that I have personally met all have been mentored or coached or continue to be mentored or coached. So it's like everyone's looking for that, it doesn't work. Because the reality is a quick sidebar, but 70% of the words that go through our head are negative. So we're looking for justification to say, I'm right, you're wrong. You failed, and that's why what you're doing is stupid. Because they don't want to accept the fact that maybe someone is doing something better than them. That's why everyone watches the news every night. You watch the news at nighttime to go, you know what? Well, shit, at least my life's not as fucked up as theirs. Look how shitty they live. And that's why we watch the news, is because it makes us feel better because the 70% of the negativity goes into our head. So that's another subject over drinks or something.
But I definitely like where you're going with this. I just wanted to say, whoever's listening to this, if you guys chose to stay all the way to this point and you're listening, I have to say that it's absolutely okay to think of all this stuff as fluffy white clouds. It's okay. But trust me, I was exactly there. That was my mindset. When I just started the business, I thought I knew it all. And at least I thought that I could outwork anybody. That was my mindset, right? I'll outwork the hell out of you, right? I'm educated and I'll outwork you. And at the end of the day, that is pretty far from the truth. Because if I did that, Steve and I would probably not be talking here, and I'd be running tiny little marketing consultancy with me and my wife, doing some gigs here and there, and making ends meet. So there you have it.
Well, and here's the thing. Just if you go along that mindset, like a lot of people do, I do this, I do that. I see on these Facebook groups, there's so many people that are so proud of all the things they do. And I go, what happens if you get hit by a bus tomorrow? Are you really doing the best thing for your family? Now your family's not going to eat. Now the families of people who work for you are not going to eat because you're going to go out of business because you were the one who kept it all together. So it's actually more selfish by you saying that you're doing it all if you look at it from that perspective. I'm not saying good or bad. I'm just saying call it what it is. Have the right definitions. Don't say you're a hero when you're just trying to have a big ego and you want to be the one that says that you do it all. If you want to be that person, that's fine. But make sure you realize what you're saying. And what you're saying is that you don't have a business, you have a job, and you have people helping you in your job. So what I would tell people is, if you want to start unpacking this thing, the first thing you got to do is you got to create 2 organization charts. The first organization chart is based on current roles and duties of everyone in the company today, and roles and duties of how it looks when your vision is complete. Meaning, let's just say 2027 like us, right? That's when our business vision is complete for our company. So right now here's the biggest challenge people have with doing org charts is they put names to the org charts. You never put a name to an organization chart. You put a role. You hire on the role, not on the name. And a lot of people say, well, John doesn't really talk to people really good. He's kind of an asshole. So even though that's what that role does, it doesn't really do that. And that's where you start making mistakes in your company is you start bending the roles for the person. And that's what happens when you have a company, like you said, when you're starting, you're going, okay, guys, we're going to grow this. Here's the vision. You go, yeah, but Larry, he's kind of a prick when he talks to owners, and I don't want him doing that. So we're not going to have him talk to owners. We're going to move that around. The better question you should ask yourself is, okay, what kind of coaching and training can I get Larry so that he can become better at his skill for the role? And maybe, just maybe, Larry's in the wrong seat on the bus. And maybe you move Larry to, maybe you move him to supply and not customer sales if he's bad at dealing with customers. And those are some things you have to look at. Now, once you have all of the roles in your company, you've got the basic 5, right? You have sales, you have marketing, you have operations, you have finance, and you have IT, HR, whatever you want to call it, right? So you got 5 things, right? The biggest challenge, the biggest mistake, what I have learned, and I would agree, and I don't know what your thoughts are, is they first think that sales and marketing is one role. And they think sales and marketing. These are 2 different roles, 2 different departments, and they're 2 different personality types. If you have someone who's good in sales, they're probably going to be real crappy at marketing. Because marketing, and Alex, tell me if I'm wrong, but I have always learned marketing is math. Marketing is numbers. Absolutely. Marketing is data.
100%. I'm glad you're saying that. That's absolutely 100% what it is. That's what it is. It's a numbers game played with a lot of creativity and a lot of discovery. But at the end of the day, if you're not tracking your KPIs, if you're not tracking ROI, it's all just wishful thinking. One caveat, though, let me add one thing. This is the challenge I've always had in my organization. We're big on sales and marketing, right? And we operationalized it a long time ago we've been around for about 7.5 years. For about 5 years, a little more than that, I had full-time sales and full-time marketing, like all the way through. And now the departments have grown. But the one thing I found challenging, Steve, once you do it, it's making them two gel together. You're right. They're absolutely different people. They have different roles. Typically, though, marketing is angry at sales and sales is angry at marketing. Is that right?
And everyone's angry at operations.
Right. Well, because right. But so make those 2 work together is great. But you're right. They're absolutely 2 different people, and they carry different responsibilities within the organization.
And what we have learned is sales and marketing really has the same goal. It's your job as a leader to let them understand that they are working on the same role. So, for example, I'll give you an example. Very simply, my interpretation is marketing makes the phone ring, sales answers the phone. So if at the end of the day, we say, hey, we're not getting enough. Let's say we say we want 20 new properties a month. Let's just throw that number. We want 20 new properties a month. And we go, man, we're only getting 15 properties a month. How do we know if it's a sales problem or a marketing problem? The only way you know that is by testing and measuring. We go, well, sales says I'm not getting enough leads. Well, okay, well, how many leads are you getting? I'm getting 30. Okay, so you're getting 30. How many are you closing? I'm closing 15. Okay, you have a 50% conversion rate. Is that what we want? And this goes back to KPIs. 50% is acceptable. Okay, now we have a marketing problem. We don't have a sales conversion problem. We go to marketing and say, hey, how do we get more inbounds so that sales can close more doors? Because marketing can't say sales is screwing up. It's not me. We go, no. These are the numbers. The numbers dictate that we need either better leads or more leads.
More of them, or both.
Or both. We don't know unless you test and measure. So you know us, we're fanatical with our numbers. Every Monday morning, our marketing and sales department has given us our spreadsheet. We've got huge spreadsheets of all the data and all the numbers, because that's the only way we know what's working, what's not working. Because, when you're growing, and look, when you're threading the needle on profit and you're trying to make things work, you're trying to make sure that every dollar is being used to its maximum capacity. You don't just throw $25,000 out there a month and go, hey, I wonder if this is going to work or not. I really hope it works, right? That's not being fiduciary responsible with your money, or your board of directors' money, or your family's money, or your team's money. Because if all of a sudden you have a couple bad months and you don't close any doors and you just blew through $100,000 in marketing, all of a sudden you start shutting doors. Were you a good steward of your money? And did you actually do a good job for the rest of the employees? So that's another, we can talk about KPIs in a little bit, but I know we're kind of going down this path.
But I think I think you're right. I think that's the next phase. I think you've answered my question very eloquently and very well as to the EOS Entrepreneur Operating System, the scorecard methodology will not help a business that is rudderless, that is without tight leadership, vision, and people bought into that vision. Is that accurate to say?
That is completely accurate. It is only as good as the people that are in the group. So let's start with that, because that is a huge, unpacking this EOS was huge. And Pete was actually the one that initially was pushing it, and I'm thinking, oh fuck, here we go, another meeting, another 2-day offsite meeting. He made so the first thing we had to do is we had to determine the leadership team. And the leadership team is basically people that are leaders in the company that we feel are basically going to go above and beyond. They're not doing this for the money. They see the vision. Now, look, we have a lot of people that see the vision and they believe in the company and they want everything that we do and they get it. But we have to go, okay, who is best suited for this? So we took kind of the department heads of all of our companies. So just to give you an idea, we have somebody from accounting, finance that is in the leadership team. Pete, myself, obviously. We have the sales manager. We have the marketing manager. We have in charge of realty and operations. So we have 7 people in our leadership team, okay? And I think we talked about this weekend, I think we employ about 23, 25 people.
Yeah, we're very similar. US. We're very similar to that. Yeah, stateside, right? Not counting VAs.
Not counting our virtual assistants, that's another 20, but yeah. So we're just talking about that. Now, we say, okay, let's make sure that all these people really want to do what we're telling them to do, because this is a very, very specific and dedicated thing. And we need to make sure that everyone knows what their role is going to be. But who do you think needs to know their roles first and foremost of that group?
The people themselves, right?
No.
They need to know what to do.
Let's take a step back. Remember what I said earlier. Who's the first people that are in charge of this whole freaking thing?
Well, the founder.
So Pete and I need to know our roles. So every successful team out there that probably in history has what's called a visionary and an integrator, okay? The integrator is the guy who's basically in the back. He's running operations. He's taking care of things. He's getting the teams going. He's dealing with KPIs. They call it LMA, leading, managing, accountability. He's taking care of systems. He's dealing with internal structures, things that are broken. That's his role, right? He's in the nuts and bolts. He's under the hood, right? He's working on things. That's the integrator in the company. And that's what Pete is. Then you have me. I'm the visionary. I'm the one who's out there thinking forward, doing all these things that's kind of inspiring the company. I'm the face of the company. I'm the cheerleader. I'm the one that, everybody comes to me and they talk to me about stuff because they go, I don't want to talk to the integrator because he'll say no. I'll talk to the visionary because he'll probably say yes if we say it nice enough to him, right? Because he's more likable, let's say. So the first thing you got to do is you have to establish who in your company is a visionary and who is an integrator. Every single successful company, whether it was McDonald's, whether it was IBM, doesn't matter. Every successful company had a visionary and integrator, if you think about it. So if you don't have those 2 people, you need to get one of those people, or you need to hire, that you probably have one internally in your company right now. Doesn't mean you need to give them a piece of your company, but you need to have someone who is that integrator or is that visionary, because it's like a yin and yang. You cannot succeed. I firmly believe you cannot succeed without both of these to move forward. So let me ask you, Alex, do you have a visionary and integrator internally?
Yes.
There you go.
It's a short answer.
Can you imagine one of you not being a part? You may argue. Huh?
No. I said just yes. That's my simple answer.
Yeah. And you probably would not be as successful if you did not have both of those components. It's like positive and negative, right? You got to have them. So the first thing I think people need to realize is they need to figure out who is the visionary and who is the integrator. Normally, it's pretty clear. It's pretty blatant who is who, right? I mean, any company knows like that's so-and-so, that's so-and-so. Now, when you're creating your org chart, the visionary sits on top of the integrator because every department reports to the integrator. You don't want any end arounds of people going to the visionary and bypassing the integrator and vice versa. So this starts coming into roles and responsibilities when you're creating your organization chart of structure. Now, there may just be 3 of you in the company because you're a small company.
So that's interesting. I don't always agree with that, Steve, because I sales and marketing reports to me, where operations reports to John, and tech reports to John now. So
it's funny you say that because Pete and I have that challenge also, because Pete doesn't have the creative mind that I have when it comes to sales and marketing. There's things that I can look at and be like, well, yeah, of course we do that. His thing is that he wants numbers. He wants data. He wants to know if we're doing this strategy, what's the end result? What's the goal we want to accomplish? And I'm like, you can't always get that from a networking event, right? We're going to meet people, shake hands, drink some booze, and get some free shit, right? That's what we're doing at the networking event and get our name out there. And he's like, well, what's the point in going? I don't understand. I'm like, you don't have to understand. That's why we're going. Like, that's the reason. So you're absolutely right. But what we do, the way we handle that is every week we have a sales update meeting, and we actually have a VTO, which we'll talk about later in this leadership. We have a sales and marketing VTO, and we both sit in that meeting. Pete and I both sit in the meeting so that Pete is asking the pointed KPI questions, and I am asking the visionary, hey, what about this marketing idea? Why don't we try this Facebook ad? Why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? So we're both kind of hitting from both cylinders, but I never override what Pete says because Pete is the CEO and Pete is the integrator, and you can never override what Pete says in the meeting. Now, he and I may have differences after the meeting, but it's so important that in the meeting, the integrator is the one who has final say.
So you say, so yeah, you guys are structured differently. I don't know if that's correct for everyone, right? And by the way, we have another 2 more minutes. Let's finish this because you're going to go and actually do the presentation for my team, and I want to talk you through off the camera a little bit about that. Yeah. So by the way, guys, if you're still listening, Steve is very, very kind and agreed to spend about 45 minutes with my leadership team as we have the vision, we have the people, we have the team, we have the product. Next thing we want to do is we want to employ the EOS system to help us measure and scale this model. And so Steve's going to help us, and I have some resistance on the leadership team in scorecards and KPIs. Naturally, we've never done it. It's always been my task, but I want everybody to own a number. And, obviously bought into the book, and it's called Traction, right? Book is called Traction by Gino Wickman.
Yep.
And so Steve's going to talk to my team, so I appreciate his time on that. And but to close this out, I have to say that we operate a little bit differently, and I think there's an allowance for that difference. It's not because I'm the CEO of the company. I'm more sales and marketing and vision focused, where the COO and CTO, in fact, I have 2 integrators now. John has very operational mind, but not a KPI mind, where Michael has the KPI mind. So it's actually different. So we don't really, it's a C-level exec, but it's not a CEO. What do you say to that?
And I don't think that matters. I think it's the respect of the hierarchy of the chart. And I think that's what's most important. You can have 5 leaders on top. I don't think that matters as long as everybody knows how it flows and they don't and they don't do roundabouts and they don't go around someone to get to you because they go, Alex will approve this. I'm going to go talk to Alex. I think that's the biggest challenge. And
that is a challenge. I 100% agree. That is a challenge.
Yeah. And we can come back to this next week if you want, or we can have someone else on but yeah, this is a big challenge. And this isn't just any company. I mean, I was just in Australia talking with the companies over there. And I mean, it's a challenge everywhere. I mean, this is something that is definitely a needed thing. And I think a lot of people would actually, if you did a survey, they would rank leadership and structure and how you grow that structure, that foundation, as one of the primary needs. The challenge is they don't realize it until they're already growing and it's imploding on them. And they realize, holy shit, we don't have any infrastructure and now we're imploding. And I think that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah, that sounds good. So next Monday, you and I will dive into something. I really want to learn how to make a proper org chart for now and at Vision. Not sure if that's going to be, well, you and I discuss offline if it's going to be useful for our audience. I think it will be.
I think culture also, company culture is huge.
Culture is big, but that's now you're talking about us getting into, a multi-year engagement, podcast engagement, because that's a lot. There's a lot to talk about there.
It's a lot. Yeah, I agree. But it's good. I think this helps people. I think, if I was a small entrepreneur trying to figure this out, I think this would help, if they can go back and unpack this a little bit, or, give me a call or give you a call. And I mean, look, it's not rocket science. I'm definitely not an expert, but I mean, just like you, we're figuring this out as we go, and we're living this, because we haven't even gotten to the leadership meetings we do every week. That's a whole other conversation.
Boy, I gotta just rein you into Steve. Yeah. Wow, no, that sounds really good, man. You got a lot to share, and that's what I love. I think this podcast is going to be great, man. All right, so let's call this a day for this Monday. Let's do our 3 things real quick. Steve, do you have them in front of you? So every week, while Steve is looking, every week we basically set ourselves on a path to achieve 3 larger level items or to-dos for our business, and we kind of keep each other honest on this. And so you want to go with your 3 things that you set out to do last week, or should I start?
I think I threw my paper away, to be honest with you, but I could. Go ahead and go.
You went so far as emailing me last Sunday about your 3
things. I know. I you know what? It's on me. I own that. That's on me.
I like that. I like that response. So for me, it was I had to finalize contracts for my guaranteed plans. I did that, sent that to attorney for the final review. Finalized 4 featured speakers. Did not do that. Had to pop it out on this week for the PM Grow. I wanted to deploy first iteration of leadership teams scorecards, which is the EOS system, which is the second step. I've introduced the concept. We worked through, we ideated on the KPIs. The next step was for me to invite Steve to talk to the team. So I'm actually doing that. So that I put a check mark there. And I had to carry over the debt financing research, which I've accomplished. So I'm pretty good, except again, I missed one somewhat, and that is finalizing 4 speakers for PM Grow. I know who those are, but we haven't finalized a contract or anything like that. So my next week things, while you're still collecting your stuff, Steve, I have a board meeting this week. I got to prep. I got to have a lot of reports put together, trends and business case. I want to line up 4 speakers for PM Grow and have another 4 in the pipeline further down the selection process. And I want to put a sales training together for that I can deliver to customers as well as to the team. So those are my 3 things. What you got?
Okay. So I had 25 videos for my Empire Academy that we're creating. I got that done. I had to get my presentations prepared. I got one of them done. I didn't get the second one done.
For which one? For what?
I got I'm doing the Realty 411 event in Dallas this weekend, which is what's on this week. And the other one I'm doing is we're doing the owner education. We're doing the owner education series on the 26th. So I didn't get that one prepared. I'm a little ahead of the game, but I was hoping to get them both prepared.
That is the one you're going to talk about at PM Grow.
Correct. I'm going to talk
about and give us a little bit of insight on how to put those together, the outcome, and all that stuff. So by next April, you'll have some data. Hopefully, Pete will be happy with some KPIs.
He'll be happy. Well, we've been doing it for about 4 years, so we've got a good we have a good system, but we're actually tweaking it and fine tuning it, and we're getting laser focused on what we're going after. So it'll be great for PM Grow because we'll have it dialed in what we're doing, because we're actually going to start rolling it out in all the other cities we're growing in. So we're really fine tuning it. And the final thing was have more discussions about the expansion model. And I did have that as well. So I had another good conversation with another big time property management company. They're helping me with some expansion ideas. So that's good. So this week I have 25 videos again. Every week I do 25 videos for Empire
That's a
Academy.
trooper, man. That's how you do content marketing. That's how you do training content. You just do it. Just do it, damn it.
Knock it out, man. Just knock it out. I'm speaking at 2 events in Dallas. I'm on a panel for the IMN event, Inman event.
Oh yeah, tell me how it goes. Yeah, I'm not coming to this one. It's a new conference, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I'll be curious. We're on a panel, and then I'm speaking. I'm a keynote at the Realty 411 event in Arlington, so that'll be good. And then I have a meeting with someone regarding expansion of our model in Malaysia. So I'm actually having a pretty big meeting with someone else on expansion stuff. So we're not just we don't just think US. We kind of have blown that box out a little bit, you know.
Wow. That's impressive, man. All right. Well, I'll look forward to find out next week about the Malaysia meeting. Whatever you can share would be great to all of us are boxed into US, Canada, Australia. That's interesting to unbox this and see how it works elsewhere in the world.
Hey, this is our biggest limit, right?
That's right. Our cranium, damn it. Well, so boys and girls, thank you very kindly for listening. Steve and I are going to go and do our thing for the rest of the week. We wish you a very productive, very powerful, very successful week, and we'll see you next Monday.
See you guys. Bye-bye.